May God be gracious to us and bless us and make his face shine upon us, writes David the psalmist, that your way may be known on earth, your saving power among all nations. Back at the turn of the 19th century, from late 1899 to late 1900, a violent anti-foreign, anti-Christian peasant uprising called the Boxer Rebellion swept across much of northern China. Peasant mobs, armed with rifles and swords, directed the brunt of their ire against foreign missionaries and the Chinese Christians and churches associated with them. Throughout 1900 in particular, sensational first and second-hand accounts of the resulting carnage had been appearing in newspapers and Christian magazines across North America and Europe. The number of Christians martyred by the Boxer rebels in northern China in 1899 and 1900 was staggering. 136 Protestant missionaries, 53 missionary children, 47 Catholic priests and nuns, 30,000 Chinese Catholics, and 2,000 Chinese Protestants. It would take a joint military invasion by a coalition of 8 Asian and Western nations to finally put down the anti-foreign uprising in China. When the founding convention of the Church of the Lutheran Brethren took place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in mid-December 1900, all of this heart-rending news coming out of China would have been fresh on the hearts and minds of all those at the conference. The minutes of the founding convention even tell us that on Sunday evening, December 16th, missionaries who had come home from China were the featured speakers, giving firsthand accounts to an overflowing crowd about what was taking place in China. Less than 24 hours later, on Monday afternoon, the decisive votes were cast to create the Brodersamfund, the Church of the Lutheran Brethren. Then, just before the founding convention came to a close on Tuesday afternoon, a brief one-sentence motion was passed. The convention in Milwaukee recommends to the congregations the China mission as the foreign mission, and that they begin the work as soon as possible. No further explanation was needed. The fledgling CLB was essentially committing its 5-member congregations to the collective launching of a new wave of missionaries to China, to replace those that had just given their lives for the sake of the gospel. Despite its tiny size in comparison to other Lutheran denominations in North America, the Church of the Lutheran Brethren made good on its missionary sending commitment. Over the next quarter of a century, the CLB would send on average more than 1 new missionary per year to China. Reinhold and Julene Keelan, newlywed Bible school graduates from Minnesota, were the first to be sent, arriving in central China in late 1902. After searching for a suitable location to begin new mission work, the Keelans sensed the Lord leading them to establish the new LB mission field in a remote border region between 2 provinces, Henan and Hubei, where no Protestant Christian work had previously been undertaken. The first mission station was built in Zhaoyang, Hubei, in 1903. Boys and girls schools were soon opened, evangelistic meetings were held, and the first Christian convert, a 62-year-old Chinese teacher, was baptized following special Christmas services in December 1904. As a steady stream of new missionary recruits began arriving over the next decade to join the Keelans, new mission stations and children's schools were soon established at Tongbai and Pingshi in Henan province, giving the CLB 3 bases of operation for their mission work in central China. A 4th station would soon be added in Tanghe, Henan, in 1928. Meanwhile, a chain of events in the 1910s led to the opening of a second CLB mission field in another distant part of the world, the Sudan region of Central Africa. The first event occurred in June 1910, when Pastor E.M. Broen and his wife decided to stop by Scotland on their way to Norway for the summer. This gave Broen the rare opportunity of joining more than 1,200 other delegates from 139 Protestant denominations at the landmark 1910 World Missionary Conference in Edinburgh. While at the Edinburgh Conference, Broen was deeply moved by first-hand accounts of the great spiritual darkness in the continent of Africa and the urgent need for more missionaries. After he returned to the Lutheran Bible School in Wahpeton that fall, Broen wept openly in his missions history classes when speaking of the millions of lost souls living in pagan darkness in Africa. One first-year student at LBS that fall, Birgie Revney, evidently took Broen's impassioned prayers for Africa's lost millions to heart. When the LBIM Mission Board extended a call letter to Revney in 1915 to go to China, Revney turned the call down. He was called by the Lord to go to Africa, he explained, not China. 2 years later, at the CLB's 1917 annual convention in Grand Forks, North Dakota, delegates voted unanimously to start a second LB foreign mission field in Africa, and then it extended a call to Birgie and Herborg Revney to be their pioneer missionaries to Africa. This time, Birgie Revney gladly accepted the call. The Revneys sailed for Africa in late November 1918, just as World War I was coming to a close. After extensive survey work, they finally settled on the border region between French Cameroon and Chad as the location for the first CLB mission station in Africa, moving to Lera, Chad in the summer of 1920. Like the Keelans before them, they were seeking a region that had had no prior missionary presence. A second CLB missionary couple, Yetmund and Sophie Cordall, joined the Revneys in Lera in December 1920. Together, they immediately launched into the task of learning just a few of the nearly 30 tribal languages spoken in that border region. The Revneys focused on the Masana tribe and the Cordalls on the Mundang. It was slow, tedious work. The first Mundang convert would not be baptized by Cordall until 1927. The Revneys would not see the first 3 Masana baptisms until 1930. Over the next 70 years, the CLB would send nearly 100 additional long and short-term missionaries from the US and Canada to work among animistic tribes in Chad and Cameroon, including more than 20 missionaries from the Erickson and Sunwall clans of rural Conrad, Montana. LB missionaries and their many African co-workers planted hundreds of new congregations, opened clinics, schools, and seminaries, trained hundreds of African pastors, catechists, and evangelists, translated the scriptures into numerous tribal languages, engaged in Christian radio ministry, and carried out substantial community development work in the areas of literacy training, community health, and agricultural development. By the turn of the century, most of the 30 animistic tribal groups that the Revneys and Cordalls had first encountered in the 1920s would be substantially Christianized. In the early 2000s, Lutheran Brethren International Mission would shift its focus in Africa to several unreached Muslim tribal groups, the Fulbe, the Balala, and the Bagirmi, found in the semi-arid Sahel region of central Chad. Today, LB missionaries from North America, Taiwan, and Chad labor side by side in the Sahel region, prioritizing evangelism, education, and development work among unreached Muslim people groups. Back in Asia, all foreign missionary involvement in China, including Lutheran Brethren mission work in Henan and Hubei provinces, came to a halt with the Communist Revolution of 1949. When veteran missionary Peter Valder set sail from Shanghai for the US on December 1st, 1948, as the last LB missionary to leave the country in the face of an advancing Red Army. He left behind a few dozen LB congregations and about 1,000 baptized Chinese believers. It would be 50 years before the CLB would send its next missionary couple to central China. But as the Lord was closing the door to LB mission work in mainland China, He graciously began opening up new doors for East Asian mission work in nearby Japan and Taiwan. At the 1949 CLB Annual Convention, delegates heard that post-World War II Japan was now once again open to Christian missionaries and voted unanimously to begin new mission work in Japan at once, calling Morris and Marion Wordall as their first missionaries to Japan. Pastor Wordall, the son of LB China missionaries Marius and Marie Wordall, sailed for Japan later that summer to begin survey work for the new LB field. He was led by the Lord to Sakata, a city of 125,000 in the northern, less developed Tohoku region of Japan's main island. In less than a year, Wordall held the first baptismal service in Sakata, with 19 new converts, giving a jump start to the CLB's first congregation in Japan. Over the next 4 decades, the CLB would send on average 1 new missionary per year to the Tohoku region of Japan, leading to the planting of 24 LB congregations, the opening of a Bible school and seminary, and the training of dozens of Japanese pastors. Today, LB missionaries in Japan work in close partnership with the Japan CLB Synod on new church planting initiatives in urban neighborhoods that lack Lutheran congregations. By late 1951, as LB mission work in Japan was rapidly expanding under the influx of 18 new missionaries in just over 2 years, another cry for new missionaries was coming from nearby Taiwan. Hundreds of thousands of mainland Chinese refugees, civilians as well as military and government personnel, had fled to the island province of Taiwan in response to the communist takeover of mainland China. This led to a desperate need for Mandarin-speaking missionaries to come to Taiwan to minister to these many mainland refugees. With the unexpected closure of the LB field in central China, the LB happened to have a surplus of Mandarin-speaking missionaries at the time. A number of them, the Nyhuses, Carolyn Udall, the Valders, Elliot and Ruth Ondal, and Pastor Tu, an ordained LB pastor from China, responded to the call to start new LB mission work on the island, popularly known as Formosa, the beautiful island. Arthur Nyhus, the first LB missionary to arrive, purchased property in the city of Hsinchu in northwestern Taiwan. The first LB church in Taiwan was dedicated in Hsinchu on May 17, 1952. And in 1966, a Lutheran seminary would be established in Hsinchu as well. Additional LB missionary recruits would follow the first wave in subsequent decades, leading to the planting of 1 to 2 dozen churches in northwestern Taiwan. By the early 1980s, the focus of CLB mission work in Taiwan would begin to shift from Mandarin-speaking mainlanders to another largely unreached Chinese people group on the island, the Hakka. Today, LB missionaries to Taiwan partner closely with the existing China Lutheran Brethren Church of Taiwan to continue the task of evangelizing a population of 23 million on Taiwan that is still less than 7% Christian. At the CLB's founding convention in 1900, the decision to send missionaries overseas as soon as possible had been made in the full knowledge that some of those sent out might never return. For some, that would indeed be the case. Of the nearly 250 short and long-term missionaries sent out by the CLB over the past 125 years, 12 have died from illness or acts of violence or accidents and been buried overseas while in active missionary service, including the CLB's very first missionary, Reinhold Keelan, who died of malaria in China in 1914. Yet the long-term spiritual impact of the CLB's persistent commitment to global evangelization and church planting is undeniable. After more than a century of uninterrupted LB mission work in Chad and Cameroon, and more than 70 years of mission work in mainland China, Japan, and Taiwan, there are now nearly 25 times as many Lutheran Brethren congregations and church members outside of North America as there are in the US and Canada. God has indeed been gracious to us as the Church of the Lutheran Brethren, that his ways may be known on earth, his saving power among the nations.